Hello, my name is Lee Humphreys, and I am an associate professor in the Department of Communication at Cornell University. I want to begin by thanking Esther for not only putting together this panel, but all of her work on the upcoming book, which I'm super excited about. The title of my talk today is Qualitative Sampling and Internet Research. So, as a little bit of background about me, I have been studying mobile technology for about 18 years now. Gosh, wow, yeah. When I started, it looked pretty different. So these are some photos of the technology that I was studying when I first started my research program. But one of the things that has been consistent, despite the technology changing, of course, over the past 20 or so years, has been that my methods have been pretty similar in that I tend to employ more qualitative kinds of research methods. And so what I want to talk to you today about, as the title suggested, is sampling. Because I think it is one of the really important challenges in qualitative work, and something that I think is not often addressed as perhaps as much it should be. And so I think, you know, within qualitative work, there are several different kinds of sampling to think about, but very often when I, review articles, I'm an associate editor for JCMC, and I tend, we'll get submissions that say, oh, and we recruited and talked to people, right? But they don't actually say, of the sea of people that you could talk to about something, who or why they're talking to these kinds of people. And so I want to suggest in qualitative work, sampling is a little bit different than in more quantitative forms of data analysis. And in particular, I want to suggest that the process of selecting units for study in qualitative research is never just one discrete choice or decision on the part of the researcher at the start of a project, despite what the narrative of a research article might suggest. And instead, sampling in qualitative research can best be described as a process that involves many choices over time. And I think that idea of sampling, not just as something that you set up at the beginning, but as a continued process, really reflects a lot of both the challenges, I think, of qualitative work, as well as a lot of the amazing opportunities and characteristics of what I think makes qualitative research a lot of fun. So one of the key aspects of this that I want to talk about is what I think makes qualitative research particularly exciting, is this iterative process, but that qualitative research very often tends to be multi-method. So in qualitative work, we use the term triangulation very often, because typically what we are looking at is too complex or large to be studied in its entirety. So we often have to sample. And sampling occurs not just in choosing who we talk to, but what kinds of data we think about drawing on. So it's very common in qualitative work that you would combine, for example, interviews with textual analyses and maybe even participant observation or field observations. And so I think it's through the combination or through the triangulation of multiple methods that really enhances the validity of qualitative work. And sampling is absolutely essential in all of these methods and throughout the process. And so I think one of the things that qualitative scholars, including myself, need to get better at is this notion of transparency. and that sampling matters, and it helps readers to understand where and how knowledge is produced. And so when we engage in better and more transparent methodological descriptions in our research, it actually enhances the trustworthiness of our research. And I would say that methodological transparency enhances the trustworthiness not just of qualitative research, but certainly of quantitative research as well. And I think one of the other really important aspects of this kind of explicit articulation of methodological processes has to do with the fact that we are in a very interdisciplinary field. Internet studies includes a whole bunch of different kinds of researchers, from more sociologically oriented to more psychologically oriented, more qualitative to more critical to more quantitative. And as such, we cannot take for granted shared methodological expertise. So the explicit articulation of methodological choices and justifications helps to ensure that our research can be read throughout the discipline and not just by scholars who do similar kinds of research to ourselves. And I think it's this kind of transparency that is really vital towards ensuring that we don't just relegate our research to silos, but really engage in broader discussions regarding communication and internet studies. And so I think qualitative research can do better at really being purposeful and reflective about sampling. And I think too often we've focused on something new, and we haven't really discussed why we're talking to these new users and not those new users. And I think we need to get better at being really reflective about how our methodological choices impact the kinds of knowledge claims that we can make. So with that, I just want to say thank you to the rest of the panelists. Thank you to Esther. Thank you to everyone at ICA who, we're all experimenting with this new method of sharing our research. And I would just encourage, if anyone wants to see the paper, I'm happy to share it. You can go to my website. I have some resources regarding qualitative research, or shoot me a note on Twitter. Anyways, thank you so much, and I hope that you are all safe and well. Take care. Bye-bye.